Today I wrote one of my writings, which is probably fraught with hidden messages on my blog, although it's not too hard to decode for anybody who wants to do it. As for how I got these messages, there really wasn't anything out in the physical world, and I got a response to what I had written in a video that was made, like 12 hours before I wrote what I wrote. And that's just the way it is. There are people that can do things like that. And some countries have a more developed program for that than others. But decoding some of the message, because I'm not really working for any government. I'm looking out for my own business interests. And so different nations, when you're doing business in any nation, you're dealing with outlaw activities that are becoming business conditions. And so sometimes I talk to different nations about international connectivity of these outlaw activities, such as the dollar store and their selling of a specific kind of plastic that people here are rendering to make the beat-up gas when they're not using sarin. And this is how the dollar store is able to sell like toiletries very cheaply, much more cheaply than, Walmart sells things for a specific price, Kmart sells things for a specific price, and it's based on the formula of plastic that they use to make their items. Because the containers that a bottle of oil of Olay is in adds to the price. If you buy things in a glass container, it adds $1 or $2 to the price. And so if you're looking at the $1 price point, then you're dealing with some pretty cheap and toxic plastic that could only be made in certain places. Now, the discussion today was where to make that plastic besides China. That if people here want to interact in that way with people, then they will have to learn to talk to people in Africa, because China is going to shut it down. So, as far as how the manifestation goes of how that's going to be shut down, and the logistics of getting stuff like that done in Africa, there's a lot of Chinese that will want to carry on, and so they will need another place to go to do that. It'll be the same people that you've been dealing with, what's left of them, as before, or someone who speaks in a similar manner and has inherited someone else's Rolodex. So, all of this has to do with different countries' global agendas and how they, how they think about whether they are getting their goals met, or whether this is counterproductive or not. I don't know. The logistics of getting this plastic banned from import to the U.S. pretty onerous right now. But if production ceases, there will be a gap of time, before it gets set up somewhere else, but not too big a gap, because there's been a lot of headway of Chinese investors in Africa.